It's Fatally Flawed Step 3. We need star voting. The first installment of this series revealed how our seemingly innocuous voting system is an epic nightmare for the people. The second part should have restored a glimmer of hope for mankind, and now we're in the thick of it. Getting star voting passed is going to be no easy task, but knowing that we're aimed true and that this reform will lay the foundation for real change is the key. Star voting is an innovative new voting system that was born out of the debate between approval, ranked choice, and score voting. A few years back, Equal.vote hosted an election reform conference and invited the who's who of voting reform to attend. Everyone who was anyone was there, carrying their respective banners. The conversation that ensued planted a seed that has grown into the reform that everyone had thought was impossible. It turns out that each side of the debate held one piece of the puzzle, and until we combined forces, we were never going to have the voting system that unlocked the potential for real democracy. On one side of the debate were the people who want a system like ranked choice, where voters rank candidates in order. On the other side were the people who said that we need an approval-type ballot, where votes can simply be added up using basic addition. Both sides recognized some merit in the other's approach, but thought the other aspects were deal breakers. After the speakers were finished, Mark from Equal.vote and Rob from FairVote were talking. What if voters did both, mused Rob. First, they could approve the candidates, and then they could give each candidate a ranking to decide between the top two. Mark pictured the confusing and complicated ballot. Voters would never go for it. It was only later that night, over beers with Clay from the Center for Election Science, that inspiration struck. A score ballot can show what order a voter would have ranked the candidates in and who they approve of. Bingo. All the information is already there, and all we have to do is use it. We can count the same ballot with the same information in two different ways and get a result that's more accurate than either alone. The star ballot does just that, which is why it's sometimes called score runoff voting. It uses the familiar 5-star rating system that we're used to from Amazon and Yelp, and then it counts those votes in a 2-step process. First, voters give each candidate a score from 0 up to 5 stars. The 2 highest scoring candidates are finalists. Your ballot already shows which finalist you would have ranked higher, and so in the second round, the finalist that was preferred by more voters wins. In star voting, the first round measures quality of support. Giving each candidate a 5-star rating lets people safely and honestly show how much or how little they support each and every candidate. Then, star voting uses all that data to determine who the frontrunners really are. More data collected and more data used means more accurate results. If you don't prefer one over another, you can give them the same score. If your second choice is not that great, you can give them a lower score while still showing that they're better than the other guy. If you don't like someone or you just don't care, you can leave them blank. The second round measures quantity of supporters. Star voting's runoff round makes it so that every vote makes a difference, no matter who the frontrunners are. For example, let's take a look at this progressive voter's ballot. Let's say that she lives in a predominantly conservative area, and Marco Rubio and Gary Johnson, 2 of the more conservative candidates, make it to the runoff. The ballot shows that she prefers Gary, and so he'll get her runoff vote. Even though her top choices were all eliminated, her vote would still make a difference and help prevent her worst-case scenario. The runoff is also the key to encouraging expressive, honest voting and discouraging tactical voting. Some people might be tempted to give everyone they don't love a 0, even if they have a more nuanced opinion. If you really like 1 or 2 candidates and the rest are equally bad, then it's fine to do that. But once again, if you want to be sure to get a say in the runoff, it pays to really show your full preference order, as well as how much you like each candidate. Even if voters get lazy and most only give 5s or 0s, star voting is still more accurate and inclusive than ranked choice voting or approval voting. Take it from the pros. When star voting first hit the scene, activists were intrigued. But until we got the results back from Jameson Quinn's cutting-edge election simulator, the voting reform movement didn't realize what it had on its hands. Quinn, vice chair of the Center for Election Science and PhD candidate in statistics at Harvard University, has been working on developing a mathematical method to determine how accurate various voting systems really are. The fruit of his labor is a system called voter satisfaction efficiency. VSE measures election accuracy under a variety of situations in simulated elections. A VSE of 1 or 100% is a perfect score and means that as many voters as possible are as happy as possible with the election outcomes. A voting system should ideally pick the candidate with the most overall support, while encouraging honest voting and discouraging tactical voting. In these simulations, star voting came in first place with 98% accuracy when voters are honest. The simulations also showed that honesty is the best strategy for individual voters and for the electorate as a whole. Star voting is undeniably a top-shelf election method and arguably the best out of all the ones I tested, says Quinn. This is especially high praise considering that the voting system that came in a close second was his own creation, 3-2-1 voting. It's interesting to note that ranked choice voting didn't even make it into the top 10. Star voting is just what we've been waiting for, and we're inspired and motivated to make the dream a reality. So here's a recap. Star voting uses a 5-star rating style ballot similar to online rating tools that people already use, like Amazon and Yelp. Star voting solves the wasted vote problem so that every vote makes a difference and voters have a real incentive to vote. Honesty is the best policy, and it's best to vote your conscience. Star voting is the most accurate, representative voting system out there, and the only systems that are on par are not viable for other reasons. If we couldn't have star voting, we'd be interested to look into 3-2-1 voting in more detail. Star voting is still accurate with any number of candidates or political parties. Star voting prevents election failures by using a fully expressive ballot, taking into account all the information from every ballot, and encouraging honest voting. Every voter has equal voting power, and the system doesn't give anyone an unfair advantage. One point that we didn't mention, but that you might be wondering about, is that there are multi-winner and proportional representation versions of star voting. If you'd like to get involved and help, we'd love to have you. You can help with field testing by using our online election calculator to host your own elections for events and organizations that you are involved with. The more people who use star voting in real life before we run a ballot measure, the better. If you're a student, please consider star voting for your student government elections. And if you work for a business or a nonprofit, this is a great opportunity to make sure your group makes the best possible decisions. You can find a link for how to set up your ballot at www.equal.vote/SRV_election_calculator. Learn more, stay involved and up to date by checking out our website, equal.vote, and Facebook groups. Volunteer. We have a lot in the works, and we're always looking for more people with creative, tech, business, and people skills. Help get the word out by hosting or attending a party, giving a presentation, passing out information, or collecting signatures for our ballot measures in Multnomah and Lane County. Start a local Equal Vote chapter to help build momentum for a ballot measure in your area. And most importantly, please tell people about star voting and why we need it. Democracy is not a spectator sport.